are now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fighter's Voice podcast radio show. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz, and we got a great show for you this evening. We got some topics. It's called Finish the Sentence. We got a topic called the hot seat, which I can't wait to put our guest on the show. And, before we get started, I want to keep the bills paid. I want to make sure the lights are still on. The equipment is still ours. So I want to thank our sponsors, criminal justice attorney, Mr. Miles Harris, located in Fresno, California. That's 2115 Kern Street, Suite 101, or you can reach him by phone, 559-492-9572. And also, if you want some body ink, if you want some piercing, body piercing, the one and only Red Wave Tattoo and Art Gallery, located in 7277 North of Blackstone Avenue, Fresno, California. Ask for Rico, tell him the Fighter's Voice sent you, and he can also be reached at 559-439-7256. And now listen, those long days that you're working in the gym or just at work or just need some comfort or some relaxation so you can sleep, make sure you go to Pound for Pound CBD line. They have gummies, they have gel caps, they have oil, and they have cream. And you can reach them and contact them and order your supply. Just go to www.pforpcbd.com, and they're endorsed by four-time division champion, Mikey Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of news that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about the press conference between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and we're going to talk about who talked and who didn't. But one person that's just getting ready to talk, he's ready to get loose, and that's our guest tonight. I'm glad I made contact with our guest when he first started. And when he first started, the guy was just slanging T-shirts and he was sponsoring fighters from every which way of life, getting his brand out there. But behind the brand, there's a very important story. And we're going to get to the middle of everything. We're going to get to the success. We're going to get to the story, why the name. And, enough said. I can go on. And ladies and gentlemen, our guest, I hope I don't chop his name right, because I've always just called him I Got My Own Back. That's what I just called him. And then I started learning that his name was Junior, when we did an interview in a hotel room, which is a whole a couple years back. But I want to introduce our guest, Javier Zinzun. I hope I said it right, Javier.
Yeah, Javier Zinzun Jr. You're good. That's it.
Javier Zinzun Jr., aka The Future. And we're going to talk about that name, The Future, because I've been noticing he's been doing some designs that we're really not ready for, but we really want deep down inside. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Mr. Junior. How you doing, my man?
Not too bad, brother. A little mentally drained because it's been kind of crazy. I just got done shipping out, obviously, Camacho Jr.'s outfit, Chavez Jr.'s outfit, and Emiliano Vargas outfit also. So I just got done shipping out those three. So it was a little hectic, but we got everything done and shipped out to Guadalajara.
Let's talk about that Camacho outfit. To you, it was I've heard your testimony when you were talking about it, how you made it, and it was just an honor to make it, because you used to watch his father, and then you learned that his father actually designed his own outfit.
Yeah.
But little do you know, that outfit has already got feedback. It's even went as far as Hector's been advised that as soon as that fight's over, make sure that you give it to the WBC or the Boxing Hall of Fame, because of what it stands for, a tribute to his father.
Yeah.
And knowing that already, before he even puts it on, before it's even been displayed to the whole world, how does that make you feel, Junior?
It's an awesome feeling because people appreciate the art and the history behind it. So it's like I tell everybody that it's funny because I'll be honest with you, like I've always gotten offended when like a fighter, you know, when they take off their jacket in the ring and then like the corner guy just throws it on the floor like the jacket, or he just kind of like tosses it. It's like, do you realize that you're just throwing something that was like, you know, a lot of people put a lot of like time and energy and hours into the outfit, right?
Yes.
And for them to already be speaking highly about it and to already want to hang it up and to already, you know, make it feel special, that is a kind of like feedback that I want to hear. You know, I love hearing that people appreciate the art behind it, the history behind it, the man hours that went behind it. That's the kind of stuff that I feel people need to learn. Like, you know, what, even like what you're wearing right now, like somebody sat there and sewed up that t-shirt. Somebody sat there and sewed up that, you know, that blazer you got.
You mean this wild card t-shirt?
Even
Shout out to
like
Wild Card Jim, Freddie Roach.
Even to print one of those is a process, right? So to me, when I see my outfits being thrown, it's kind of like it's kind of like an offense. It's kind of like, wow, man, like you don't even realize how much we busted our butts trying to do to build that. It's not just like a towel that you just throw, you know what I mean? So the fact that they're appreciating the artwork of like my clothing, that to me means a lot. And the fact that, you know, when you told me about this, I got super excited because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Macho Camacho, and the fact that he used to design his own. He even had like a little book where he used to draw the ideas and all that. And I was like, yo, like I love that. And the fact that, you know, I get to do it now for his son, for Junior, that to me, it meant a lot to me. It was more than just designing. That's why, I mean, you saw the outfit, you know, that thing.
I think it's fire, bro.
That thing was just intense. Yeah.
It was, and you know what? I know exactly how you feel. You know, the way you feel is when you work, you put all those man hours in your creation, and then they just get it and just throw it down. Almost like when I have a fighter on the show, or I do a documentary with him, or I put some man hours interviewing this guy over and over again, and he can't even press the like button, or he can't even press the button that share, or he can't even say thank you.
Yeah.
But you know what? If I was in it for the like button, for the share button, or the thank you button, I would have gave up a long time ago, my man. So it's much bigger than that. But I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because to me, that's my art. That's my work. That's my corazon, to pull those answers out of giving them the platform so they can be heard. You know.
And to be honest, like I used to be the type of guy who would do it for the likes and for people's responses, but it got to the point now where I was like, you know what? As long as I love what I just created and it looks, you know, better than I can imagine, that to me is like the rewarding part now. That's why I feel like I keep succeeding in this, because I'm not here to really like, you know, for likes anymore. Now it's just like, you know what? Do you love what you do? If you love what you do, then you just keep going crazy. Right. And that's how I came up with this bad boy behind me. You know what I mean? Just really, really just, you know, I'm just letting my imagination go wild, which is why, you know, I keep standing out in this industry.
Well, I mean, that's because you make contact with all your everybody that seeks your artwork, and in the media, likes are very important. They really am, because that's what the media personnel looks at before they distribute credentials, or before they want to distribute sponsorship. So for me, it goes a long way. Being that said, we're going to move backwards now. I mean, we got that nice wardrobe, that nice walkout of Hector Camacho, and I'm going to let you know that the lives that it really touched and impact before we close the show. But now we're going to move backwards. We're going to move back to the days when I used to call JR and he'd pick up the phone right away. Now I understand, my man, because because you are just swamped busy, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I remember some of the first fighters that you sponsored were in Fresno. Okay.
Yeah.
The Navarro brothers. Do you remember that? Jimmy Navarro. Yes, the MMA guys. Yes. And then it started, and then I had some people from Fresno saying, "Hey, who is this guy?" Because they liked the name, that they loved the name. And then it kind of went to it's kind of blew up from there. Then other people kind of networked their way, or whatever it was. It was good business for you. But we still have some of those pieces, man. And you know, those original hat that you send me, and I still have some of those pieces. And I mean, back in the day, from going on to iron-on t-shirts to just walkout gear that is going to someday be in the Boxing Hall of Fame, man. And I'm keeping it real, because you remember those days. I mean, you remember them more than I do, because you were already somewhat established when I bumped into you when we first met, but we were still doing the t-shirt thing.
Yeah, when I first started, it's funny you say that because I have people that till this day come up to me. They're like, "Yo, I remember you used to sell shirts outside of boxing events out of your car." And it's funny because I didn't even have a car back then. I was using my dad's truck, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I just use your truck?" Because I totaled mine with a. My friend and I had a drunk driving accident, so I didn't have a car. So when my dad used to let him borrow his truck, it's funny because that's why I don't believe in excuses anymore. I believe if you really want something, you get it. Because like back then, I didn't even have materials to like to write IGMOB on T-shirts. So I used to get vinyl and I used to trace letters on it with a pen, and then I used to cut them out with scissors, apply each letter on the T-shirt, right? And then I used to use a heat press to put it on. It was like a cheap heat press that I bought from a neighbor of mine, and that's how I would make shirts, and that's what I would go slaying like outside of boxing shows. I got kicked out of a bunch of boxing shows too because I didn't have credentials or I didn't have the right paperwork to be selling out of my trunk. And sometimes I wouldn't even bring a box. Like I got kicked out of the StubHub. I was in front of the StubHub with a box full of T-shirts. But to me, I believed in my dream and I believed in what I'm doing. And I was like, you know what? The only way your name's going to get out there is you got to get out there. You got, if you hear about fights, and I used to read the story about Tap Out, the way these guys used to drive up to like San Francisco, and they used to just drive over there with no money, hoping that they would sell maybe a few T-shirts so they can drive back. Sometimes they would even drive to places and they wouldn't even sell one T-shirt, right? But look at them now, right? And the thing about me is that's motivating to see where they were and where they started, because you got to put in the footwork. And I love the struggle. I love the fact that it wasn't easy because it's completely molded me into who I am right now. Like now I value everything. I value every customer. I value everybody that wants to work with me. Everything just, you learn to value things better when you struggle a lot. And that's why I love the fact that this journey wasn't easy. I love the fact that legitimately it was one of the hardest journeys, right? From working two jobs. See, the thing is that a lot of people don't even know this, but while I was selling those T-shirts, I was also looking at jail time. I was actually like, I got into some really serious trouble, which half the time that I was when I wasn't like making my own shirts in the middle of the night and trying to sell them on the weekends at fights, I was working two jobs, working security. One job was to pay my lawyers to keep me out of jail, and my other job was to pay my bills, and whatever I had left was to put it till I got my own back. So that's why I always tell everybody I don't believe in excuses. I believe like if you really want it bad, like you're just gonna go after it. And like you said, like yeah, I started this from the ground up out of my bedroom after my overdose. So I just knew that it was gonna be hard, but I knew that someday I'm gonna be exactly where I want to be, and that's basically where I'm at right now.
Well, let's talk about the name because the name is very, very catchy. The initials are always read first, and then till they understand exactly what it stands for. Where did the name come from, and what's the meaning behind it? And most of all, what does it mean to you?
So IGMOB, I got my own back. When I came up with the name, it was actually after my overdose. After I ended up overdosing, I ended up in the hospital, obviously, and the doctor basically, this is all going to make sense. Basically, it's all going to connect. So the doctor basically says, you know what? You already know what your parents already filled me in on your lifestyle, your addictions, the way you're living your life. You already know the way your life ends if you go in this direction, right? So starting today, you choose. Do you want to go back down that path, or do you want to go back, or do you want to go ahead and, maybe make smarter decisions and go down a different route, right? So I went back home. I dumped out all the pills, dumped out all the alcohol, got rid of everything. And I went ahead and I threw everything out. I even in my room, I had pictures of like darkness, angels, like angels falling from heaven. Like I had all this like negativity all around in my room, stuff that was even making me depressed. So I started taking it all down, like a bunch of scary shit, all that. I started taking everything down. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. I can't surround myself around this energy anymore. Like this darkness is like pulling me in. So I took everything out. So my room was just blank white. So after that, I remember I hung up a picture of like an ocean, just something that just kind of gives me a peace of mind, something relaxing. And I was like, you know what, this is what I need to do. So I went in my car and I told myself, as soon as when you walk out of this car, I don't want you to ever feel sorry for yourself again. I don't ever want you to feel bad about your childhood, your upbringing, your alcoholic father, the fact that you had tough love, the fact that you had a dad that used to whoop your ass a lot, right? So I started thinking to myself, like, everything that ever bothered me and ever made me become rebellious, like, let that shit go. Like turn the page. Because the thing is, when we sit there, it's like a book, right? It's like a book. If the page is halfway open, you're always looking back, right?
Yeah.
You're always looking back at these moments. You're always looking back at, like, you're living in the past, and you never really start writing a brand new story because you're always looking back, right? So I told myself, JR, once you get out of this car, it's going to be a brand new you. You're going to write a brand new story, right? Like, you're going to write a brand new story. So what did I do? I got in my car. I went into like the lowest part of our parking structure, and I screamed like a maniac, like a maniac. Like, if anybody would have heard me outside, they would think I'm probably getting killed. So I just screamed at the top of my lungs, screamed to the point where I lost my voice, right? Just screamed with anger. I screamed out every time my dad kicked my ass. I screamed every time that I saw my mother cry. I screamed every time that I saw my brothers cry, my family always breaking up, me going to jail, the bad people I got involved with. I screamed at everybody. I screamed at the people that I hurt. I screamed at the people that hurt me. Like, it's like everything that I've ever experienced, my alcoholic moments, my pill popping moments, when I was found, my overdose, I screamed at me being found in the back of bars, not in the streets, drunk. Like, my dad found me in the worst cases. Like, he'd find me in my car, just completely vomited on, like, door open, like in some random neighborhoods. Like, my dad used to find me like that. Or, hey, you know what? Your son's he's in the bathroom. He's on the floor. He's passed out. Like, we don't know what the heck he's on. So I screamed all that pain out. I screamed my childhood because I didn't have the best childhood. I screamed my childhood trauma, right? I screamed that. I screamed the fact that, I was bullied my whole life. I screamed the fact that everybody was in control, telling me I was no good, never going to accomplish anything. That, I became the world's puppet. If you start to believe what everyone's telling you, you're going to start believing that mentally, and then you're never going to try at anything. It's like my brother says, why try if I'm just going to fail, right? So that was kind of my mentality. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to scream it all because I'm over this. And I screamed it. And then after that, I cried. I sat there in my car, and like, I was like, you know what?
That was a rock bottom moment.
It was a rock bottom moment. So I got in my car, and then I just cried it all out. I just cried out every time that I hurt someone, that someone hurt me, from bullying, because I was bullied too, to like, to remembering, how shitty my childhood was, to remembering like everybody that I hurt, friends that I hurt, people that hurt me. Like, it was just like a mixture of emotions. And then after that, like, I saw a lot of things in my life, right? Because, I ended up obviously being a little gangster, right? So I saw a lot of things that would probably drive somebody crazy. Like, I saw, gun selling, I saw drugs, I saw human trafficking. So it's like, you see all this shit and it does something to you where it kind of like messes with you mentally, right? So it just got to the point where I was like, you know what, JR, just let it all out. So I
How old were you during all this?
I was
being exposed to all this.
I think it was, I overdosed February 17, 2011. So what was that, like 9 years ago?
Okay.
Like around 10 years ago. 11, 12. Yeah, 10 years ago. I just had my 10-year anniversary. So I went ahead and just kind of like screamed it out, and I cried it out. And the crazy thing was that when I was done, it was like a different kind of flame was inside of me now, right? And I was just kind of like, all right, like, let's do this. We're gonna write a brand new story now. So I got out of my car. And when I got out of my car and I stepped foot on the ground, I felt like an astronaut stepping on the moon for the first time. Like, I felt like, wow, like I just felt something different. Like, I just let so much emotion out. I let out everything that I've always wanted to let out, because us as people, we hold shit in. We hold shit in, and we let that shit drag us.
It's healthy for us to vent. Whenever we vent or we talk to somebody, it's healthy for us. I mean, we never want to hold anything in. And you're talking about holding in years of buildup.
I held in so much anger because it got to the point where I was numb. I didn't feel anything. So I would even ride on top of cars, on top of the freeway, just holding on like this, like just so I can feel something, right? Like I was literally living life on the edge, and I didn't care whether I lived or died. Honestly, it was kind of like I was at the point in my life where I was like, you know what? Each day is like it's like another day of misery. That's where I was at in my life, right? So what ended up happening was obviously I get out, I go in my room and I grab a piece of paper. And actually a few weeks ago I did the post and there's a bunch of drawings. And I'm drawing a bunch of scribbles, like things that I'm like envisioning what I want to do. What am I gonna do? What's next for me? You know, what am I gonna do next? So I'm sitting there, right? And then that's when my dad walks in and he goes, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I said, "You know what? I'm I'm starting a company." And he goes, "You're starting a company?" I said, "Look, just don't laugh. I don't want to hear anything negative about it. But you know, I'm gonna start a company. Not really sure what direction it's gonna go in or what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna at least start at something, right?" And then he goes, "Well, you need a company name." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "So what are you gonna call it?" I said, and right there I was already playing around with names. And then I remembered I wrote down, I got my own back. And I was like things that represent like me handling business, right? And I was like, you know what? I said, I'm gonna call it I got my own back. And my dad goes, "Oh wow, it's cool. So what does that name mean to you?" I said, "It means that I'm in control of my life. It means that I will never be anyone's puppet ever again. That whatever I want, I'm gonna go get it. I'm not gonna make any excuses. I understand that in life, we're not given a manual that shows us how to live life, how to handle obstacles, whatever it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I push myself through anything. If I fall down, right?
Yeah.
I said, God gave me another chance for a reason, right? He put me on this earth, and I believe he gave me another chance after my overdose. So now I told him that I'm going to write a better story. I said, one that people will remember, but not only that, but I'm going to help out people along the way, right? And I said, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with my life, but I'm at least going to start, right? And I said, check this out. I said, I wanted to be a brand about self-motivating. It's not just a brand about, whatever it is. Because at this point, I didn't know what it was. I said, I'm probably going to personal train some people, right? I'm probably going to show them how to box or something. And that's where I got my own back started as a personal trainer. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start teaching myself how to become like mentally stable. Like, I'm going to how to cool down a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then especially because it was my way of release, like punching something. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and help out people that have been bullied, maybe mentally, physically abused. And yeah, I ended up having a clientele. Like I started asking a couple of my aunts and uncles, "Hey, can I train you guys at the park with mitts?" So I was training them, and I ended up having a little client base, right? And when I was meeting with them, I would tell them about I got my own back and what it means, right? It's about self-love. It's about self-motivation. It's about, reaching your dreams and like doing everything possible to get there and just working hard. And I would explain that to them, and then they would open up to me about what my brand means, and then they would open up to me. So what I liked about this is that since the beginning, like the clients that I got, it wasn't just about training them. It was about learning something about each other. Me learning something from them. Maybe they teach me something. Maybe they teach me about something, right? About life. And then I teach them something about life. So I got my own back became a symbol of basically a symbol. And that's where the Spartan came in, right? It's like a warrior. It's like a warrior who, each day he gets up and he's going to conquer the world, basically. He's going to go after it. And if you see all my accomplishments, I wake up with that.
You got to be that pirate, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and it started off as a company for personal training. And then I wrote, I got my own back on a t-shirt. I went to a swap meet and I bought a shirt, and I had a guy just put it, he pressed it on. And it was funny because people would read that on the streets and like, "Yo, was that a clothing line?" Boom. I started with t-shirts after that. I started now printing my own shirts and trying to sell them. So it went from personal training to selling t-shirts to learning. A lot of people ask me, well, how did you get over your addictions? Well, to be honest, those first few months, like the first 6 months, I would get a lot of headaches. I would be in my room going crazy. Like I'd be pouring sweat. I'd have chills because my body was fiending for all this stuff, right? And it just got to the point where when I would watch videos on art, on fashion, on boxing, all that stuff would help distract my mind from the wickedness of like alcohol, pills, and all that. So it's crazy because the more I would try to like distract my mind, the more I learned, and the more I would just pick up, and the smarter I was getting, whether it's about sales, whether it's about marketing, whether I was teaching myself something new every day, whether it was video editing. So I would work 2 jobs and come home in the middle of the night, and I would learn video editing, how to print T-shirts, how to build a successful business. I learned everything from YouTube. Never stepped foot. Like, I'm a college dropout, right? I went to continuation school. I was a super senior, meaning that I had to come back another year because I didn't have enough credits to graduate. So I told my dad, I said, look, my past doesn't define me. I said, and yes, I understand, because my dad made fun of me for graduating from a school of my dad would say, like, school of idiots. You know, he would say, you know what, you basically graduated for, you know, coloring pictures, because I'm not going to lie, we used to color pictures and get credits for that school, right? So I told my dad, I said, look, man, I'm like, it doesn't matter where I come from, what my past is, because starting right now, I'm going to write a brand new story, and I'm not doing this now to prove anything to anyone. I'm just going to show myself, yes, you can if you put your mind to it.
Well, you know what, Junior, you've come a long way, and you answered the questions I was going to ask you. One was going to be, did you ever take a sewing class? Did you ever take an art class? Where did the creativity come from? I mean, was it just ideas or you know, sleepless nights?
It's crazy, because like, I was educating myself so much on fashion that I was like, you know what? I can't afford fashion school. So I started working at Armani Exchange and Banana Republic. So I left my security jobs to go work at fashion stores to learn about fashion. And the funny thing is that all the employees from there were from FITM, which is the big fashion institute school over there in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny because they were teaching me a lot. And I was surrounding, it's kind of, I kind of did it the Elon Musk way, where he says, I didn't go to Harvard, but my employees did, right? So in my head, I'm like, yo, if I can't afford it, I've always been more of a hands-on learner. Not really, I can't sit there and read books and sit in the classroom all day. It's just, I have ADD, so it's going to make me go crazy. So I was always a type of guy who has to do it hands-on. So from practicing, learning about sewing hands-on, from getting mentors in the fashion industry who would teach me about textiles, fabrics, how to sketch, how to design, all that. I was picking up on it, and I'm a fast learner. And I even got behind a machine, and I was even practicing how to sew. I was even like doing some of the sewing in the beginning. But what ended up happening was that obviously, you know, with the creativity going crazier and crazier, more business started coming in. So I got to the point where I had to hire a bigger team now, because I can't sit there and be the salesman and be sewing up outfits at the same time.
Let's talk about the very first outfit you stepped out and made and put together, or you were a part of.
Mhm.
Do you remember that? Was it just more than just a t-shirt and shorts with your logo on there? Because a lot of people, they'll put their logo on there and they call that fashion. Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. But your whole first design from scratch, where somebody completely trusted you and said, look, man, this is what I want. They're trying to explain to you, and you had to get in their heart, their mind, and you had to deliver.
So the funny thing was that when I first started with the t-shirts, I was actually going to a lot of gyms trying to get people to wear them, right? Yeah, I got my own back t-shirts.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of gyms who would not wear them unless I paid them. Like the MMA world, oh man, everybody was trying to charge me $600-700 to wear a t-shirt on Bellator. And I was like, damn, I'm like, I don't have $700. I'm like, you know, I can't afford that. And then there were even guys who were like, oh no, man, we're just wearing Tap Out, or we're just wearing Silver Star, or we're just wearing Hitman, or we're just wearing Affliction, or like all those brands that were big back then, right? So people weren't really in the MMA world trying to wear I got my own back, right? So it was funny because there was a point where one day I was just like, you know what? This t-shirt thing's not really working out. I think I'm going to go ahead and pursue personal training more, right? And maybe one day try to open up a gym or something.
Who's his, me or him?
Huh?
No, I'm talking to the engineer. Go ahead.
Okay. So what ended up happening was I was like, you know what? I don't think this t-shirt thing's going to work out. And the funny thing is that there was a friend of mine who was hanging out in Santa Ana, and he met a coach there. Rest in peace to him, George Estrada. He became a good friend of mine. And he calls me and he says, hey, I really like that clothing line name of yours. I got my own back. He goes, I think that brand's like the future of boxing, like that name. And I was like, oh, thanks, bro. I said, but you know what? I'm actually getting ready to like just call it quits with t-shirts because nobody's buying them, nobody's wearing them. I said, I made a bunch of shirts and nobody wants to buy them, right?
Yeah.
So this guy says, you know what? I got a fighter for you. Don't give up yet on this clothing line thing. Come to Boxing 2000 in Garden Grove, and I want you to meet somebody. So I went to Boxing 2000 the next day, and I met with Jose El Gato Roman, right? Jose El Gato Roman and Jesse Incredible Roman at the time, which is his brother. And they were both like big prospects, you know, looking to make some noise in boxing. And he tells me, he goes, JR, have you ever done a custom t-shirt for a fighter? And to be honest with you, I said, yes, I have, even though I haven't. And that's where he said, look, I want a t-shirt with 2 gloves, cat claws coming out. He started throwing all these like details at me, and I've never done a custom t-shirt before. Never done a custom t-shirt before. So I ended up, you know, just taking on the task. And that's till this day, I still do that. If somebody asks for something that I don't know how to make or do, I'll still end up like going after it basically. Right. Like I won't end up, I won't give up and say no to it basically. Right.
Right.
So I was going to say, I would never give up on that basically. I've always been the type of guy that always likes to figure it out.
Well, that's good. You have been figuring out everything that you want to do. Let me ask my engineer a question because he has some questions coming in. Hold on. Oh, it's me that's echoing or the guest? Okay, so how do we eliminate that? Because they're not explaining, they're saying an echo his. Who's his? Is that me or is that him? Okay, well then that's probably my bad then. It's probably not him. It's if something needs to be fixed, it needs to be fixed. We're gonna run with the fucking show. Fuck that. I mean, I can't please everybody. Okay, let's keep this shit real, Junior. If it's echoed and if they don't like it, they can turn the fucking thing off. Shit should have been taken care of a long time ago. I don't do shit like that. So let's talk about you and let's talk about what made you get into boxing? Because you followed boxing. What made you convince some fighter to say, you know what, I want to represent you by the art and the craft that I have?
So what made people want to work with me is the fact that when I first, you know what, I realized that in MMA, Tap Out made a name for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Big.
Yeah.
And then some of the best memories of my life growing up where my whole family used to get together and watch fights. Right. We used to watch Chavez. We used to watch Tyson. We used to watch Camacho and Madomero Paez. Like we grew up watching like everybody, De La Hoya, everyone, right? So those were some of the happiest moments of my life. And one of the things that I used to notice were like Macho Camacho's outfits. And I always thought they were interesting. So even though I'm selling t-shirts, I've always wanted to do outfits, right? And it's funny because when I was doing like my little vision board after my overdose, I was already designing outfits, right? That I one day was going to design. And the funny thing is that I started connecting a lot with these fighters. I started noticing that the MMA guys that were a little bit more like, they were all about money and not really trying to work with you, right? Unless you paid them. And I noticed that boxers were a little bit more cool about it. Like they're willing to like help you out, like cross promote with each other, right?
Yeah.
So
And
I was
that's
like,
the way
yo,
to do
these
it.
guys, yeah. And I noticed that boxers were way more like nice about it. And I was like, and the cool thing was that with these guys, for the first 4 years, I was designing them all free t-shirts. So I was working to design these guys free t-shirts. So if you ordered 10 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them, 15, I would make them and I wouldn't charge you because I knew that someday these guys were all going to become my clients, right? I was like, you know what? These guys are going to be, you know, they're probably, once they make it and I make it, they'll be able to spend money and I'll be able to give them like better quality stuff. So in the beginning, I was doing stuff for free. And what made me get into boxing was the fact that, you know, I wanted to be a boxer, but unfortunately, because I had an accident in my right knee that got reconstructed, I wasn't really able to pursue that dream anymore just because I get a lot of knee pains.
Yeah.
And so it just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I might not be in the ring anymore, but at least I'm going to be in their corner somewhere. Right. And honestly, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start with t-shirts. I'm gonna get in there with t-shirts. I'm gonna show everybody that what I can do. And I was actually designing some pretty crazy t-shirts in the beginning that was a different style. So I started getting known as the guy who designs the craziest t-shirts. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give it my own t-shirts and design some crazy stuff with t-shirts. So from t-shirts, it started slowly maneuvering into the outfits.
I want to talk about the outfit. I like it. It's just full of energy. The shorts say H2O.
Oh yeah. For Ashton Silva over in Long Beach.
My gosh, I mean that is like the colors, the concept, everything that's put behind there, the way it stands out. It's just, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's one of your best. It just caught my attention. It caught my eye. What was the whole theme behind that? Did he give you full-fledged creativity,
Which one
or
are you talking about? The Halloween one or which one?
yes, the Halloween one, the one with the mask? He came in with a mask, and the shorts
Oh,
were just they were just popping.
so this is what I go back to telling you about how I really put a lot of like art and like meditation in this. Like that's why I say like this stuff means a lot to me. So his outfit, he just says, look, I want it to be the Nightmare Before Christmas inspired, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, cool. So I remember it was like a couple weeks before his fight. I went to downtown LA and a couple other spots here in Orange County, and I would go to fabric shops and I couldn't design anything. Like my brain just wasn't designing. So then I would drive back. The next day I drove all the way back to a fabric shop 2 hours from here, from my place. And I sat there and I couldn't do it. So I left again. So then after that, I said, you know what, JR, just clear the mind, relax. Don't try not to think about too many things at once. Just freestyle it. Right. So
Yeah.
then I go back to the stores and it was a holiday. So only one shop was open, one shop. And then the guy goes, hey, man, you know, this is all I got. You know, I'm sorry, but all the other stores are closed. And I said to myself, if you're a real designer, you're going to come up with something with only what you're limited to right now. So I was like, you know what? Give me a sec. So then I started like kind of, you know how like mathematicians start moving numbers in their heads?
Yeah, they start moving.
I started moving fabrics and moving them in places. So and I was looking at everything. I was like, give me that one. Give me that one. Give me that one. He goes, what are you making? I said, I don't know yet. Here, just give me that one. The ones that like my eyes would just like move around in my head, I was like, give me that one. So I just started choosing fabrics. And then I got them all. And then I was like, that fur right there, give me that fur right there. And they don't even know yet. So I get home and I throw them all on the floor and I'm sitting there just staring at them, just like this, just staring at them. Like, what am I going to make? I'm like, I got to tell a story. This outfit needs to tell the story of Jack Skellington and, you know, the crazy world that he lives in. It's got to be with a hint of Beetlejuice in it because Tim Burton's a big, you know, the influence for the Nightmare Before Christmas, you know, it started from the movie Beetlejuice. So I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's tie them in together. I want this outfit to represent wickedness, like a different style of boxing, but I just wanted to be another level, right? And obviously, I mean, you saw what that bad boy ended up looking like. You know what I mean?
I loved it. I loved it. That's when it really got my attention, man.
That was probably one of my craziest, favoriteest outfits I've ever done.
No, I could tell you put a lot of thought into that. Hey, I'm going to try something real quick. Hey, let's try to fix this because it's stressing me out. I'm hearing something too. I'm hearing a feedback from his. So testing. How's that? The echo go away? Can we tell the echo's going away? Testing. Okay. I mean, because I hear him because he's watching the show live, I believe. I mean, I hear myself, but it wouldn't be an echo through him. It'd be our setup. So it's me. It's not him because he's not echoing at all. Where did you get the dream, and where did you get the fucking balls to call the producer from Creed 2? Not only that, but to convince him to give you an opportunity, to give you a chance to create some shorts that would be worn on a national televised screen that's just global. To this
So,
day, I mean, it has to be one of your achievements, your accomplishments.
so the crazy thing is that I've always been a type of guy, like I said, if you want something, go get it.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So I found out that Creed 2 was going to be filming.
Yeah.
So I was up one night, like for a few hours. And what did I do? I went ahead and I emailed everybody that's ever worked on that movie. I sent messages through Instagram, messages through email, and I sent messages through Facebook, and I started sending my work. And I was like, you know what? If you ever need somebody who can design some outfits, this is my information. This is my work. This is who I worked with. So I just sat there for hours. I think it was for like 3 hours around midnight, from midnight to 3 in the morning, just emailing. And it's funny because I sat there emailing a bunch of people, and then I read a small article where there was a designer who worked on the first one where she thanked 2 costume designers. And I was like, yo, I got to see who these people are. So I found them on social media. They only have like a couple hundred followers. I was like, nice, they're going to see my message. Yeah. I sent them a message, and I saw that their emails connected, sent them an email.
Yeah.
And then I remember one night I was working security at the I was working a security job at the Dolby Theater, and it was pouring rain. And I remember a car passed by like in the movies and just splashed a bunch of water on me. And
just
I
like
went
in the
inside
movies.
just like in the movie. So I went outside. It was where the Oscars were going to be. I was working the outside gate. So I went inside, and this was like a couple weeks for the Oscars. And I went inside and I stood up on the stage, and I was like, damn, one day I'm going to work on a movie or something, or I'm going to be an actor. Or like, that's the next thing, right? Like, I want to be a part of a movie. So the funny thing is that the next day, you know, after going back outside in the cold weather, I was a little depressed, and I looked up at the sky and I said, God, like, I understand you want me, you know, to struggle, but damn, man, can you throw me a bone or something? Like, I'm really trying here. You know, I'm trying here. And the next day I checked my email, and boom, it's the contract to Creed 2 because they like my work.
Wow.
They're like, hey, we saw your stuff. We saw your emails. You know, can we talk? And I was like, no way. That's all stoked. I got a chance to get a hold of them.
I like what you did, even though you didn't have the opportunity to make Mike Tyson shorts. You still did, though, because you said, if I was to make Mike Tyson shorts, they would be like this. And that was very smart. That was very marketable. I saw right through that. I was thinking that is freaking genius. That's something that I would do. You know, I would say something like, if I was able to interview Mike Tyson, I would interview him like this. You understand kind of the same concept. So you threw it out there anyways.
Yeah. And you know what I did was I actually went and I found out where his damn ranch is in LA. And I actually would go there at 5 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out where it is that he's training at so I can give them to him. It was unsuccessful, but I went for 2 weeks trying to meet him. It didn't happen. I only ended up meeting one of his a-hole like people who were like, oh, sorry, no, we can't give those to Mike. And I was like, all right. And it's funny because I have so many connections in boxing, but it's for some reason, nobody knew how to get me in front of the man. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? Which you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? I'm like, nobody has connections to him. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of that in boxing, but yet nobody can get me in front of Mike Tyson. But then again, I get it. You know, he's not a guy that really likes to be approached by a lot of people. And then later on, I ended up learning he doesn't really trust people in boxing. So I can kind of see like why nobody would really kind of like say, oh, you know what? I want you to meet this guy. Right. So it's still a dream for me to work with him. So that dream is very much still alive. And I know they're going to film a movie about his life. So even I'm going to try to get on that movie too. I already know the people that are working on it. So it's definitely something that I've already been in the process of trying to get.
Well, we could talk and we could put our heads together on that one, man. Because, you know, they may need someone to shoot a little cameo. That someone may need to be interviewed, and we'll talk soon about that. But
you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one thing about Mike Tyson, he does have a great memory. He doesn't forget. He has a great memory. Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story. When I encountered him, he just got done doing the Larry King show, and my mom was inside the ring with him, took a picture with him. And I remember when I took that picture of him, my mom, He said, "Oh, I want a copy of that." I mean, there was no Instagram, no Twitter, there was no nothing. And, maybe he said that just to be nice. But when he was going to come down to Tachi Palace, right? I
Yeah.
talked to his PR person, and she goes, I'll give you 1 minute and it'll probably be on the elevator. So I was going to take it anyways. But
Yeah.
right before then, remember that bonehead and gosh darn it. Oh yeah, which one is it? In Toronto, in Canada. Remember he started asking these stupid questions, and Mike got up in front of the interview and said, "Oh no, you know what? You're a piece of shit, man. F you, man."
Yeah.
Right
F
after
you,
that,
yeah.
all the interviews were canceled. No, there was no interviews for Mike Tyson at all, period. Nothing. So that bonehead kind of messed it up, man. But I was going to take him that picture of him and my mom, and I was saying, remember you said, "Hey, you wanted a copy of it?" And I would have broke it down to him, because I remember asking him, "Hey, can you sign this for my son?" He goes, "You got a son? How old are you? Where do you live at?" And he just started, and he goes, "You want a grape?" Because he was eating grapes. I mean, he was wearing a black shirt, black shorts, black like Zorro belt with some, I want to say some tan Timberlands, man, and just had some colognes that were just blasting. I mean, that's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But he has a great memory, and I was told by some people close to him that he has a great memory. So he is a people person. He's a hands-on people person, and he likes real people, and he'll figure out real quick who's real and who's not. And for you to share a testimony on the show, Junior, you're a real person, man. You're a real person. That's more of our Barbara Walters documentary, man, because you got a story to tell. And right now,
I've been approached about documentaries. That's funny you say that.
oh, well, it is. I see something like that in the future, and I was going to ask you about that. What's the whole concept with the Back to the Future car, the pants, the shades, and most of all, it's the mentality. I like that. I mean, because it seems to be working for you. It's your fuel.
So I always, ever since my overdose, I've been so focused on creating a different tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And it's funny because when I was growing up, I was a big fan of the Back to the Future movies. I was a big fan of Tron. Tron's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's where I get a lot of my inspiration from to be different and to kind of want to, incorporate
Tron,
some of that in my design. And it's funny because when people ask me, why do you always say, the future, I said, because I'm like, in my mind, right? We all create these characters, right?
Yeah.
Like by day, I'm just regular JR, just goes home and just relaxes. That's just very mellow guy. By night, it's like I'm Batman. I'm become someone else. So by night, I'm the future, right? I'm this guy who freaking just like puts on these big old crazy shades, right? And like just because wears like these big old jewelries, like crystal stuff to represent the future,
Mismatched
right?
shoes.
Yeah, mismatched shoes, and then like everybody, it's like a character that I've created that all he's trying to do is change the future, like Marty McFly, right? He's trying to change the future. So what am I trying to do is when people come to me for a design, we talk 10 minutes, 15 minutes most about the design, and then the rest of the time we talk about life. We talk about their life. We talk about my life. We talk about, how can we help each other out, right? So the future basically means that I'm here to see what I can do so that all of us can somehow have a different, more positive future, right? That's why I speak at schools, because I believe the kids are the future, right? I believe these kids are going to make a safer tomorrow, a more better tomorrow, a more beautiful tomorrow, right? So the future kind of ties into all that. I tell everybody like, oh, you know what? I'm a guy who was sent back in time because you know what? I gotta help mold the future generations into seeing the world differently, right? So everybody kind of started liking it. And the funny thing is, it's a concept of mine, but then people started calling me the future of boxing. They're like, hey, you're the future of boxing, man. Your styles are different. Hey, bro, you're the future. You're the future. So it got to the point where that was already something that in my head, how I was like seeing life and like, yo, I'm gonna help people grow. I'm gonna help people, get through life obstacles. And it's funny because the people started calling me the future. So then after that, I really started taking on the role now as the future.
Well, there you go. And I'm going to help you with that role, because I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to play a game. It's called Finish the Sentence. And, this part of the show is sponsored by Red Wave Tattoo Art Gallery. It's located in Fresno, California, 7277 North Blackstone Avenue. Again, or you can reach them by phone, Fresno, California, 559-439-7256, Red Wave Tattoo Art Gallery. This is called, JR, finish the sentence, okay?
Mhm.
JR, finish this sentence. I hate it when,
Let's see. I hate it when people write me negative comments about people that I'm working with.
please stop.
Please stop hating on each other and start supporting each other.
One day, I want to be the best designer in,
One day I want to be the best designer in boxing and hopefully make it into the Hall of Fame as the first designer ever.
when I was little, all I wanted to be was,
In a rock band, something along the lines of Bon Jovi.
if and when I stand before God, all I want to ask him is,
I don't know if I want to ask him something, but I definitely want to thank him for giving me another chance.
smart answer, man. That's a beautiful answer. I like that one. Well, my man, you finished the sentence, man, but we still got another topic to go. We got another topic to go. But I want to talk about some boxing, and then I'm going to close the show with a hot topic. It's called the hot seat. They had a press conference today. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, LA, California. The trilogy is going to happen July 24th. Now, at a press conference, both fighters, they like to speak, they like to talk, for the American public and for the media. Well, Deontay Wilder took the stand and he chose to say, enough said. I'm done talking. Didn't talk the rest of the day. Tyson Fury controlled the whole, I would say, press conference, when it did start, and gave everybody, the answers that they wanted. Who did speak up was Deontay Wilder's new trainer. What's your whole thought process behind that? I mean, a press conference is exactly what it is, a press conference for the media to ask you questions. And, maybe you don't want to give the answers, maybe you do. So if they had a press conference between you and another designer, and that other designer chose not to speak, would you feel disrespected, or would you just think to yourself, well, you know what, that's your call. That's your lane you want to stay in.
I would feel like maybe he's going to let his art do the talking. Kind of like Deontay Wilder. I feel like he's like, you know what? I'm going to treat this differently this time, because usually I am the guy that comes in, throwing punches and screaming and everything. But I really feel like, you know what? I don't want to hype it up and pretend like, you know what? I'm going to beat this guy this time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to handle it more maturely now, which putting it all in the ring. Because you got to understand, if you talk all this shit and then let's just say he gets his ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
Then it's kind of like, oh, yo, what about all that shit you were just talking, right? So it kind of ends up like backfiring on you. So I feel like this time he was like, you know what? I'm going to handle it a little bit more maturely this time. I'm just going to leave it all in the ring. Because sometimes even getting excited like that could sometimes even mess with you, because then some things that could be said that can mess with you mentally. So I feel like maybe he just didn't want to get started, basically. You know what I mean? Before it escalates to something more, and then it kind of messes with like your inner peace or whatever it is you're trying to keep, so you can actually be ready for this fight.
Well, there's going to be some fights this Saturday on the June 19th. We also, I mean, it's for a boxing fan on the Zone. You got some boxing on the Zone. You got some boxing on Top Rank. You got some boxing on Showtime. We were going to have some boxing on Triller, but Teofimo Lopez tested positive for COVID.
I saw that. Yeah.
Instead of going to another main event, they just postponed the whole card. I do want to say, for what it's worth, Andy Vincent, who was just on the show last week, was scheduled to be on the undercard, was more than willing to step up and did make contact and say, hey, I'm willing to step up and save the card to take on Teofimo's opponent just to save the card.
Mm-hmm.
But their mind was already made up. But when I hear that from another fighter, I mean, that tells me, hey, I put the road work in. I'm willing to change opponents. Andy has stepped up before to take on the main event when he was with Top Rank Boxing. It's kind of like just giving him some props, man, because he was
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice everything and say, okay, I'm going to risk everything because I don't know anything really about this guy. I didn't train for this guy, and it's
Yeah.
going to be at 5 pounds heavier, but I'm willing to do so just to save the whole card. So I will say that because I only stated facts, and that was facts. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know, Triller made up their mind. They just postponed it. It's going to take place in August, but you know, COVID is still real. It's still out there. And you can do all the work you can as a fighter, and yet if the main event doesn't take place, the rest of the fighters, they don't get to eat. They don't get to perform. If they don't perform, there's no meals, there's no paycheck. You know, there's
And it
no
affects them a
bringing
lot.
income home for the families.
It affects them a lot because I've personally known a lot of fighters when stuff like that happens. Like when Jaime Munguia, his fight got postponed already like twice, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's actually fighting this weekend now. But I do
Well,
know.
exactly, on the zone, and I'm glad you brought that up. Did you ever
So
design for him? That was my next question.
no, and I was actually supposed to go meet him in Tijuana. I haven't designed for him yet. I haven't
like
designed
that.
for him, but I
I like
am
that.
I am designing for Blair Cobbs this weekend.
Well, Jermell Charlo was fighting on Showtime this Saturday. He's taking on Juan Montel. That's going to be a
Yep.
good fight. And that's
gonna be a good
June
fight.
19th. Top rank. They got Michaela Meyer on there. She has her junior lightweight title at stake. She's taking on Erica Farias. And that's going to be a good fight. And then you got the monster. Anyway, I just has one punch knockout power with the unified bantamweight title. He's going to defend. So you have Top Rank Boxing the 19th. You have Showtime the 19th. You have the Zone the 19th. And then we also got your boy, Hector Macho Camacho Jr., who's then going to display his boxing apparel to the whole world, man. I want to
I'm
ask you
excited.
this. Have you ever designed for multiple fights that they just all happen at once? Because you can't be there to watch them all, but I know you
Yeah.
want to see the reaction to the crowd. You want to see the fighter enter the ring and get the reaction that he or she deserves to get.
I've designed for multiple cards at once. Actually, when the fights first started happening, my outfits were actually being worn everywhere, and yeah, it was. Even before that, though, it's hard to kind of go to all these fights and see them. So sometimes I just watch them on TV, and I'll have like on my phone, I'll have it on my computer just to kind of get a chance to see the people's reaction. And I really like hearing the commentators. They always end up talking about my outfits because they stand out. Like I don't know if you remember when Eddie Hearn even talked about the one I did for Mark Castro, how he moved him up.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people, I didn't realize this, but I saw
like
some
a space
interviews from
cowboy.
other people. The Space Cowboy, yeah, and it's funny because I've been finding different interviews on the internet where people are talking.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. I'm gonna take this time. Mark Castro, I don't know how long ago the facts, but I know his grandma passed away. So our condolences to Mark Castro's grandma.
Yeah, I just saw that. I think it was a couple days ago.
Yeah. So I want to take that time. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish up.
No, mad respect to him. I got mad love for Mark Castro. He always lets me kind of freestyle his outfits, you know, and I'm a big fan of that because then that's when I go crazy. But that's kind of going with the whole, the way that that's why I like watching the fights because I like hearing what they're saying. That's why I'd rather watch them on TV because you really get the feedback. Like even with Ryan Garcia fights, like Ryan Garcia's worn a bunch of my outfits, and I love hearing when people are like, "Whoa, is he really wearing like denim in the ring? Is he really wearing this or that?" Like people get excited, and I love hearing stuff like that. It's always exciting when they talk about the outfits, like, "Yo, look at those shorts," or "Look at this, look at that." And I love hearing stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
You know what? I wish I would have prepared a little better for this, but I told this person to watch this show right here. I don't know if I sent you that picture. It was a while back ago that we gave a shout out to somebody that was fighting cancer. Robert Garcia was on the show. And ever since then, I've been getting contacted by people that are fighting cancer. And to me, I'm tickled by it because when I say tickled, it's because they want their shout out. And I'm going to give this person a shout out. I want you to go to your Instagram and this person, we can follow and support them. It's what is it? Al P Strong Luna Bella. So it's on your Instagram. It says, follow and share my journey so I can inspire others. She's a tough girl and she's there. And I told her I would give her a shout out. If you're able to pull up one of their pictures, yeah, we're going to do so right now. And we're going to give her a shout out.
What was her Instagram?
LP Strong,
Uh-huh.
LUNABELLE. It should pop up.
Okay, there she is. Yeah, LP Strong. Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, we're going to pull her up on the screen right now as soon as we get a picture. And you know why we can do this, Junior?
Why is
It's
that?
our show and we can do whatever we want. And we can help the
Exactly.
people that need to be helped, the real fighters. Because both me and you, we get an alarm clock. We get the luxury of going to sleep when we're sleepy. Fighters get the luxury of listening to the bell, which means, okay, that it's time for them to perform. But once that bell rings for the 12th and final round, that's what it is. Their fight's over. But for somebody fighting cancer, we just pulled their up on the show. Oh, you just did. Fighting cancer, their bell never rings. They're constantly in a fight 24/7, 7 days a week. So Bella, if this helps you at all, you're inspiring us. We're there with you. If there's anything that you need from us here at the Fighter's Voice or anything from I Got My Own Back, hey,
I got
hey,
my own back has your back. So definitely let me know. You can definitely reach me at I got my own back _fighter. I just started following you, or just let Richard know if there's anything I can do for you. And the future is here. He'll go ahead and give you a call if you want to say hello.
That's right, because this is such a brave young lady, continuing to go through life, playing soccer, doing the things little girls need to do, but yet she has a fight on her hands, and she has more courage than both me and you, because we would both flip out right now, JR. That was something that happened to us. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to make sure I did that. So Bella, thank you, and thank you for sharing and reaching out to us. And I'm privileged and I'm honored that I can do what we do for the real fighters out there. Now, JR, this is the part of the show. We're going to be closing pretty soon, but this is the part of the show. It's called the hot seat. The hot seat, JR, and it's sponsored by Pound for Pound CBD line. That's Pound for Pound CBD line. They have gummies, they have gel caps, they have oil, and they have, is that how you say it? Salve, meaning the cream, like an ointment. Makes you feel good. It helps with injuries. And if you have trouble sleeping, man, you're going to sleep like a baby and you're going to feel good. Go to our website, www.pforpcbd.com, and it's endorsed by 4th Division champion Mikey Garcia.
All right.
JR, there's different fighters, there's different designers. Why are you the person to go to when it comes to designing a boxer's walkout gear? Why you over the rest?
So, you know what the thing is? It's what I tell everybody. I said, not everybody's going to like my style, right? There's a bunch there. I think there's about a few designers left now in boxing. There aren't that many left because obviously the pandemic hit a bunch of us really hard. I believe that a lot of people are choosing the future right now because it's not just, you're not just getting an outfit form from me. We get a chance to really connect on a different level, on a more personal level, right? Because I'm not just here to take your money. It's not what I'm about. I'm here to learn something from you. So the fact that you called, right, is actually, to me, it already means a lot because we get a chance to learn about each other, right? So with me, it's more of a, it's like a different style of it's like a different kind of designer, right? What do? Obviously, I build some of the most comfortable shorts in boxing. Like Canelo says, JR, I've never felt anything like yours before. And if you got the pound for pound king speaking that highly about your shorts, not only that, but if you got YouTubers wanting to wear it, TikTokers, people in the movie industry even saying, yo, the actors are saying how comfortable these shorts are, right? So when you have a resume like that, I mean, it already kind of tells you like, yo, this guy knows what he's doing in terms of, when it comes to us in the ring. Because it's like I tell fighters, the most important thing to me is I know that I'm in the ring with you. So I got to make sure that you're able to move, you're able to perform, and you look amazing at the same time. And it's like the fighters say, JR, when we get your outfits, it's like an ego boost. It's like we just get so much. We legitimately want to we want to fight already. Because I'll give it to them early and they'll be like, JR, I want to sleep in this already. They'll send me videos of them shadow boxing, Like I got a video from Logan Paul, him shadow boxing in my shorts. Like guys already want to fight just because they're so excited about it. And they know that I put a lot of time and energy and a lot of love into these outfits, right? I'm not just here just putting fabrics together and there's your outfit. No, I'm actually here building them. Like I'm building them for my friends. They're not my clients, right? These guys are all my friends because I've grown really close to them. And I'm really excited now to get a chance to meet Benavides, who just hit me up yesterday that he wants a boxing outfit. So I definitely have some pretty cool things coming right now for you guys. And I mean, like I said, the reason why people like calling us is because, you know, it's the experience with I got my own back.
Okay. You designed for Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Canelo, the movie industry. Let me see who else. Regis Prograis, Mark Madman Hernandez from my hometown, Fresno, California, and now Hector Macho Camacho Jr. And I know I've missed a couple of them. During the process of you're putting all these together, does any one particular stand out? Not the name or the fighter, but just when you were designing, you were like, oh man, I killed this one. I already know I killed this one. And if so, which outfit was it? Now remember, you're on the hot seat. It's okay to speak freely.
The one that one of my really favorite ones was Mark Castro's Space Cowboy one. That one, it's funny because I put more creativity in other ones, but that Mark Castro one, because I'm a big fan of like the metallics, and especially how his was all sleek metallic with the lapels right here were in crocodile, right, in a crocodile fabric, and then with the neon green mesh. Oh man, that one it to me that was like a futuristic boxing outfit, which you know about me, I'm all about the future and all that. So the fact that he gave me an opportunity to freestyle with something that I felt was going to be a banger, right, and that people are going to be like, whoa, and it made it, and it's funny because just how Eddie Hearn noticed it, that's an outfit that I really felt really proud of, even though it wasn't like some intense crazy design, but it was one of my favorites because it's exactly how I've always wanted to do one, which is all metallic with hints of neon green, kind of like Tron. So it reminded me of like if a fighter was to come out in the ring in a movie Tron, like this is what I kind of would picture him coming out looking like. So it was a fun one for me. And the fact that it was funny because Mark Castro's dad was like, you know what, JR, to me personally, I want Mark to come out very Viva Mexico status, but he says that he's like, but he says that, you know, that you have another idea. I said, look, we're in a different age of boxing right now where even your outfits, whatever you wear, makes noise, right? Like if people are noticing now. I said fighters are now becoming models, they're becoming influencers, they're, you know, they got their own personalities. I said, and I told Mark Castro, I said, yo, they already call you Elon Musk of boxing. Well, shoot, let's make something futuristic, bro. And he goes, you know what, JR? I trust you. Let's do this. So we ended up coming up with that one. And to be honest, I've done crazier ones, but that was my favorite
one. Wow. Jerry, your answers are real in depth. They take you on your answers take everybody on a journey. And I like that because this is your journey right now. This is the future right now. Real fast, besides Mike Tyson, who do you want to work with that you have not worked with yet and why?
Let's see here. Who do I want to work with that I haven't worked with yet? Oh, Manny Pacquiao. And it's funny because I keep throwing it out there to Brendan and Sean Gibbons.
Viva
Brendan
Sean.
I talked to Brendan a lot. Actually, I was texting with him all day today. Love that guy. Sean too. Sean shows me mad love. I know Brendan knows this, but I don't know if Sean knows this. But I mean, right now I've been working with all their Filipino fighters, right? Yeah. From Umair to who else? Who else do they have?
Jeremy Cajas.
Yeah, like I've been working with a bunch of their fighters right now, right? So to me now, I got to get the Don. You know what I mean? So to me, it would be I working with Canelo also. That was beautiful. It was one of my goals. But also Manny Pacquiao is definitely up there with somebody that, because the thing is, I respect him for where he is, right? Because the thing is, like, he's made a bunch of money, but he's been true. Look at beautiful family, very, you know, Christian, you know, they're very hardcore, like religion, you know what I mean? And I like the fact that he's out there putting out positivity, right? Like I'm not a fan really of guys that make money and then they go and they try to open up strip clubs and stuff like that. That we don't need any more of that stuff in the world. We don't need any more of that stuff in the world. We really don't. And just the fact that Manny's an example of a man who had a dream, he fought for it, and the fact that he struggled, it was a hard journey for him as well.
Yeah.
And he never forgot where he came from. He's still very real, very true to himself, his family. You never hear him talking about like disrespecting his wife or it's all
No.
about positivity,
Yeah.
and he's got a lot of respect for his wife and his kids. And honestly, he's an example of how I would. And look at how much he gives back to his Filipino community, to the Philippines. Even when he's there, like giving money to them, when he's building homes for them, like I feel like right there, that's the kind of people we need in this world. We need people like that. So that's, to me, it's not like, oh my God, I want to design for him because everybody loves him. No, to me, it's more personal because I've seen where he's been. I've seen his journey. I've seen where he is now, and I see the way he gives back. Honestly, I wouldn't even charge him for the outfit. I'd be like, bro, this is just for you being you and never changing, and for being an example of somebody who I wish I could be like one day.
Very, very well said. He's a very nice guy, class act. I mean, I could take the whole segment and tell you all the things that he's done and made an impact in me, and a lot of stuff that I don't put out there. And even Sean is a
I've never
solid
even met
dude,
him,
man.
and I've
Oh,
met
you
a
never
lot of
met him?
people I've never met Manny Pacquiao. No.
Yeah, well, you will one day. And he's just, it didn't hit me till I was driving home, after I did the interview with him and then talked to him. And, he sent me a video for my son. It didn't hit me till on the way home that,
Yeah.
man, that was a senator. And, yeah, I'll tell you a whole story about that some other time. We got more time. Last question on the hot seat. If you were to design a jacket for yours truly, what would you do with it? Free 100% creativity. How would you design it? What color would it be? How would it fall? How would it lay? What would you do with it?
It would have to be very loud with probably some neon pink, some neon orange, some neon greens, because I noticed that you're a guy who dresses in a lot of dull colors. And I feel like you need to experiment with the opposite of that and being a little bit more brighter. Because the thing is this, when we wear a lot of like dull colors, we kind of feel dull ourselves. But what if we come out in this loud looking, like just jacket? Imagine the jacket's got all these crazy colors going on. People are going to look at you. Okay. You know how I want people to look at you when you come out? Do you remember the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, I do.
Remember how they came out in those blue and the orange suits?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, with
that's
the ruffles.
kind of like, see, I'd like to make that kind of an impact that when you walk in the room, be like, yo, that guy looks fun. He looks like he's here to enjoy himself and have a good time. If you walk in with just a regular black jacket, you just look like a guy who's either A, just coming here to watch the fights, B, maybe, it just seems boring to me. And I feel like you have a really awesome personality, and I want to show it through your jackets that people can say, yo, he looks like a fun guy to talk to. Maybe even, let's put him on the show because he's got personality. Maybe that's what's your thing, where when you come out every time, you got a different blazer coming out, right? You got something loud, something that's people are like, yo, that's a conversation starter, right? And that's how I became the Future. The Future is by like me, the way that I dress and all that craziness, like that's my thing. And I think maybe you stepping out of your comfort zone, because why did I throw out those colors? Because I want you to be uncomfortable for like 10 minutes where you're like, what the heck am I wearing? But then after that, like, you know what? This is kind of cool. This is fun. I like this. Hey, JR, what do you got for next time? And then maybe you start saying, you know what, JR, make me something with cheetah prints, purple cheetah on this side, yellow on this side, go crazy. You see what I mean? That's what I like to bring out of people, because we all secretly have that fun side on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes we present ourselves like, very serious and all this. It's kind of like when I would speak at schools, right? You have all the guys showing up in suits, navy blue, black suits, and you got me showing up wearing t-shirts like this, ripped jeans, and people are like, yo, who is this guy? But then once they get to know me, like, you know what? I can see why he dresses like this. He's a fun guy. He's a guy, he doesn't take everything too serious. You know what I mean? He's a guy that he's fun to be around. He's got an interesting personality.
He's enjoying life and doing things. Doing things make him happy.
Exactly. And that's kind of why I would choose something like that, which is the complete opposite of what you would even think about wearing. Why? Because it's going to bring out a different side of you.
You're now off the hot seat, man. And that was a hot one too. You had to be sweating for a little while. Junior, I want to thank you, man, for taking time coming on the show. We had a little hiccup earlier with some of the echoing, which which is my bad, or we had to take care of, but we did. We covered what we needed to cover. Most important towards the end, I wanted to give our special person a shout out, Bella, and we're going to follow her through her journey and let her know that we're here every step of the way. And not only that, Junior, I wish you nothing but success. And I know it's only the tip of the iceberg, man, of where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And I'm not going to say anything cliche like everybody, hey, remember you when you get there. To me, that's a bunch of BS. I mean, we're here together. We can all shine together. There's enough for everybody. Just capitalize on doing what you do best, and you're already doing that. And I noticed, Junior, you don't even look back. You continue to move forward, and I like that about you. And I like that I was able to recognize the talent back with the T-shirts. But I will tell you a story though. There has to be somebody in Madera, California. I'll tell you this real quick, and then we're going to leave. When they broke into my car, but see, they were selective on what they took, because I had some stuff at a I was going to take back to a store. I had a jacket, I had some pants, I had some shoes, but I had those 2 or 3 shirts that you gave me. They were still brand new in the plastic. They were size medium. I was gonna give them to some fighters, right? So when they went into my car, they grabbed the 3 shirts that I got my own back, but they didn't grab everything new. They started being selected. They grabbed the pants. They left my jacket there. They grabbed the shoes, but they only grabbed like a pair of socks. And they were shopping in my car, bro. Usually a thief kind of takes whatever they want and they bounce, but they were very selective on what they took. They probably tried it on and said, nah, and put it back. I don't know, but there's going to be somebody floating around. And for a while I was looking for them. If I see 3 people with, I got my own back shirts, they're the ones that broke into my car.
That's funny you say that, it's funny you say, because they broke into my car too, and they stole a bunch of my jerseys, and I never made those anymore because they were expensive. But if I ever see anybody wearing those jerseys, same thing.
Same thing, man. But what I'm saying is they could have left your shirts there. They grabbed them. They liked what they saw. So even a thief has good taste. So, if it makes sense at all. So true story, man.
They're representing out there. So thank you, gentlemen, for representing at least.
Yes, they are. Them. Junior, how can we follow you? How can we subscribe? And how can we get in contact with you if we want something designed?
So you can follow me on Facebook, which is IGMOBX or on Instagram, I got my own back _fighter, or my email, I got my own back @gmail.com. And it's like I tell everybody, I respond to everybody. So you can write me. You don't even have to buy an outfit if you're going through something mentally, or if you're having a bad day, or if you feel like you need some motivation. Feel free to reach out to me. I always make time for everybody as much as I can. Yes, I do have a crazy busy schedule, but I always like to make time for people, especially when they need help, because you never know who's drowning and who needs help, basically.
Exactly. Very well said. And I'm going to go ahead and be biased and say that Hector Macho Camacho Jr. was probably your masterpiece, your best artwork that you put together. I mean, I love that's just, I can't wait for him to walk out and just the impact, like we talked about in the top of the show, the impact that you made in those that close to him. Because I know Hector and his closeness. Me and Hector are very close. I just don't put it all over social media. Me and Alexander Diaz, who's, they're like brothers, man. And they're very, very close knitted. The impact you made on them with that outfit, it goes beyond. It was more than what they would ever think of. So just know that. Keep doing what you're doing. You're touching lives. You're making an impact. And remember, man, appreciate you being on the show. And as always, it's a wrap here. Thumbs up for Richie.
See you there, gentlemen. Thank you.
Don't miss out. Now you can listen to the Fighter's Voice podcast radio show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio. New show, new topics, new look, bringing you the latest news. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. For the hottest and latest in sports and entertainment, exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the sport of boxing and MMA.
I'm Robert Garcia. I'm Jose Ramirez. Hey guys, this is Mikey Garcia, and I'm here with
The Fighter's Voice.